thing, of course, I don't think I ever told this class, although the other classes, you should join the competition team if you're a fairly advanced student. If you're getting A's and you want to move beyond that, then join this competition team, compete against other colleges, and it's a very good way to get good jobs. So email Elizabeth about that. She's got some applicants, and I think she'll be forming the team probably within the next week, is my feeling, although she hasn't given me a firm deadline, but I think she is. Anyway, so today, we've already done projects up through 105, and the next ones that are due are 107 and 111. Now this used to be 108, and I changed it to 111 because I originally said install Kali, but Kali is really unstable and very annoying. They keep changing and breaking things. Debian is much better. So I switched it to Debian by default, although if you want to use Kali, that's fine. But I recommend Debian instead of Kali these days because it's much more stable. They're much more cautious about breaking things. Anyway, but 107 is where the action is. So let's take a look at 107, GenieMD. And this one, I added some stuff to it today, how to do it with the Android Studio emulator, which turns out to be very nice. And that way, the only way I can do it on the M1, and it all works. So you got to get an Android emulator, and then just drag this APK on and install it. Now, before I used GenieMotion and Android 5, but now I'm using Android 11 on a modern emulator, and it's working fine. There's one dirty trick though, and that's going to be, there should be a help page down here somewhere. Well, anyway, I'll demonstrate it. I feel like these instructions are not as up to date as they ought to be. I added a page to this. Perhaps I forgot to upload it. But anyway, all right, the point is, if you want to launch the Android emulator, this is actually a drag. Oh, there it is. Good. I thought I had it. If you're using the Android Studio emulator, you have to go into this blue box. The other ones were written for GenieMotion, or the other emulators where you just launch it. But to launch the Android Studio emulator, now you can launch Android Studio and launch it in there, but you can't get what we need done here that way. You have to launch it from the command line. So you don't run Android Studio at all. You open a terminal and you launch it from here. And there's another gotcha. If you try launching emulator here, it'll find the emulator, at least it did at first. It found the emulator when I did it, but then next time it didn't find it. And even it couldn't find the virtual machines. And the solution is to not use the path or environment variables. If you do, it will not find what it needs. You just have to give it the whole path, which is home library, Android SDK, emulator. Then it will find the right stuff. Somebody can try. I didn't bother to figure out why this is true. I just tried a few options, and this is absolutely true. You just put in the whole path and it works on the Mac, which is pretty stupid. You know, you're supposed to be able to set environment variables to specify paths, but they are not set correctly here. And now I can run it. And this will list my available Android virtual devices, and this is the only one that works on the M1. So now I want to launch it, and I want it to go to my proxy. Now, what we did before is we'd run the emulator and go into settings, and let me just demonstrate that. Let me launch my, so I'm going to just I put AVD, this part here. If I just do AVD and then the name of the AVD, which I'm going to have to fix. All right, my AVD here is 3A APT31. Okay, that will launch the emulator. And here it is. So it's running, and now I can do things. But let me show you what happens if you try to capture this traffic with the proxy. So let's launch burp. All right, and I click next, start burp. Okay, and here is burp. I move it up here so you can see it. All right, you go to proxy and turn off the intercept and go to options, and now you have to listen on the real address on the way to the internet, which is not going to be 127. I guess it's this, 172.17.16.146. Okay, so that's the address. And now I want to adjust my Android emulator to go there. So I can do this. I can go here and pull down settings. Come on. There we go. All right. And I can adjust it here, network and internet, and click the gear, and click the pencil, and now turn on a proxy, and put in that number, 172, 16, 17, 16, 146. Oh yeah, okay, 17, 16, all right. 146, okay, and 8080. All right, and now if I go to history here, I'll see if any traffic is going by. And so if I go here and open, say, Chrome, accept and continue, don't do stupid things. Okay, now if I go to an insecure website, like http ad.samsclass.info, then it's in the middle and it picks it up. If I go to a secure website, it'll warn me my connection is not private. Well, now it's working even here. This is actually very nice. When I tried this at home on the M1 emulator, it refused to work here. So this is the process that works for GenieMotion. What you want is you want to get this message. Now, if you did the previous Burp project, you installed the certificate, so your Android was told to trust Burp, and it won't give you this warning. It'll just make HTTPS connections through. But in this project, you delete the certificate. You want it to be in this state. This is the state where it does try to go through Burp, but it notices that the certificate is no good and it fails. This is the state you want it in because now you can test to see if apps are correctly verifying HTTPS certificates. And of course, here's an app that is not doing that. So let's put this app on the phone. By the way, what I did before, that did not work when I did it at home, so I had to launch it from here and specify the proxy here in the command line when launching it, and that worked. So that's what I had to do on the M1, or I mean on the Intel Mac to make it work. But there's a little bit of imperfection in these emulators. Anyway, this is an app that came from Harvard that had this flaw, GenieMD. Let's throw it in the downloads. Download this thing and stick it on your phone. All you have to do is view it. And I like to go home, although I don't think it's necessary, and then just drag and drop it on the phone. Okay, that installs it. Now you can go here. And there it is. Harvard Health is what this is. This is a medical app, no less, from Harvard. And now, if I bring up Burp, you can see the traffic. There it is. And I delete all this old traffic, get it out of the way. Clear history. Okay, now I go to my Android emulator and I open Harvard. He wants some permissions. I'm just going to give it all the permissions like most people do. And it's going to warn you that it was built for an older version of Android, but it runs, even on this modern version. This is Android 11, so you don't really need to make an old emulator. And now, notice already, it did a get to HTTPS without detecting it. And that's a clue that something's wrong here, although what it's getting is just some kind of generic stuff, so it doesn't prove there's a real flaw. To prove there's a real flaw, you have to show real data going through. So let's log in with fake user and fake password. It won't accept it, but the point is, when you sign in, it sends it through HTTPS, it transmits, and you can see it here, and it shouldn't. It should refuse, just like the other browsers. So this proves that this app does not verify HTTPS connections. It just accepts fake certificates without testing them. And that is a serious flaw. In fact, companies have been sued for this by the Federal Trade Commission and forced to knock it off and forced to pay fines and stuff. So anyway, where do you look in the app for the registration code? You're probably talking about the extra credit part here. And we'll cover that actually in a later lecture, but let me point out this. It's good to bring this up. So here you've got, this is the first part here. You have to just get this to work where you can see that, and then there's a flag defined. All right, in the response. But then there are some extra credit parts here where you use modified versions of this app. Because like I say, it's easy to modify Android apps. So I modified this app, made it do various things. And so here you just have to find the server it sends a post to. Look under DNS resolution, and maybe I'll try it. I haven't repeated this one yet. I'll see if there's a problem, but I think you'll find that it does send a post just like this one. But I'll try it and see. These extra credit parts I haven't tried yet. Now this registration code, you're going to have to search through the contents of the app. You unpack it with APK tool and look at it on your Kali or Debian machine. So it's just a matter of grepping for the registration code. There's something like that name there. And so I'll demonstrate these later. These are all using unpacking the app on your Linux machine. And we'll talk about that more next time. But that's the important thing to mention in case I haven't yet, is you don't have to do all this by this deadline. I mean, these things are due next week, but that's only the required part. The extra credit part, you can keep turning in until the last day of class. So, and of course, you can even do the required part late, but you might lose a few points. But the extra credit portion of all these projects is not due for a long time, so it's okay if you can't do the extra credit parts. Just turn in the other part and continue with them later. All right, and that's all I wanted to show you. Let me stop recording this. Oh, I wanted to mention the other project, of course. I'll just mention it while we're here. I'll make a separate video. That's what I'm going to do. Let me find my video, stop it.